This is Teresa. First, let me congratulate you on your new website. This is an exciting time, and our goal for your website, of course, is to drive more traffic to it and ultimately more clients. So I'm sure that you'll want to do a little bit of editing from time to time. And so what I'd like to do is go over the editing, some editing highlights for your website, and some of your SEO and changes that you'll want to make there as your practice and as your website grows in conjunction with it. So I'd like to take you through how we're going to log into your dashboard, and then the editing that we can do within it, and then a few things like adding pages, adding images, adding videos, that type of thing. So of course, if you have any questions, we're always available to help, but this will get you started. So we're coming right down here. This is what I'm doing. I'm using Grow Your Therapy Practice, as you're familiar with, as my training platform. So this is exactly how you would use the training dashboard when you get on to do your editing. So what you're going to do is go down to your website, and all the way down here at the footer, you're going to find an asterisk right here, and that's your login to the platform itself. So what we're going to do, you're going to sign in with your information. After the first time, it will always have your email, so you'll just be able to do that. And then what you're going to do is put your password in. If you ever forget it or you'd like to change it, you can just say forget password, and it will send you a prompt through your email. And then log in. And this is what you're going to see. What we're going to do here is we're going to edit or make edits and changes to Grow Your Therapy Practice. Again, this is my training platform. So you'll see that this means that you'll see a green lock here. That means that it's secure, as does the S on your HTTPS, so you have a SSL certificate. This is the name of the site. This is when it was created and then last published. You have edit, preview, an overview, and your stats available that you can always take a look at. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go in and edit. And this is for things that you'd like to change. Again, text, content. You'll see a couple of ribbons here. We have our top ribbon that gives you some options to do. And then we also have a side ribbon. So first, let's go through this top ribbon. You can move from page to page through one of two ways. Here is your top ribbon that allows you to go directly to a specific page. And as you see, you can scroll down and see all of the pages that are contained in your website. Or you can go over to pages over here, and both have different functions, so I'll go through both. This is a fast way to just navigate through the website if you know exactly where you'd like to go. Then you have icons for your desktop, your tablet, and your mobile. So if you make changes, for instance, in the desktop, tablet is pretty static. It's pretty much along the lines of your desktop, but mobile can be a little different because of the sizing issues with mobile. We want it to be readable, so I will go through that as well. And then we have just basic things here. Undo your last edit. You can always do a preview at any time so that you can see what it looks like to your visitors, and then you can republish your site. So before we get started on the side ribbon, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about this republish. Over here you have a settings function, and if you pull that out, you'll see that you have backup site. I encourage backups before and after you do something that's specific, only because then you'll know what you did. Let's say you're going to add a page. So the way I would do it is I always do my initials, and in fact, if Phil or I go into your site, we always put our initials in and then the date. So I'm going to, just for purposes of our tutorial, I'm going to go 10/24/2020, and I always say something like backup prior to, let's say we're going to add a page, adding page. And then we say save. We do our work, and then you can save along the way, of course, and then you have auto saves that I'll be talking about in a minute. But then when I'm done with a specific function, then I always put in my initials once again, the date, and then after adding a page, let's say. So the reason that this is helpful, if you do a save, the reason that this is helpful, if you look down here, then you can see if you'd like to change something and you'd like to go back to a previous version of it, then you'll see you have the ability to restore prior to that function that you did. So this just helps to keep you kind of knowing where you're at with your functionality on your changes. Okay, so that's always first thing, is to just make a backup, again in settings, backup site. And then also you have auto backups, as you saw in when we went into the backup function, you have auto backups, and that happens when you go into a specific text block and you click the green check mark here, then the system automatically does an auto backup for you. So you don't have to go back and try and remember every little tiny thing you did within that particular edit. Okay, so that's the backup. So we're going to go back up here to the the left hand ribbon and kind of go through all of your functionality that you have and the options. So there are some things that you're going to use a lot more than other things, other functions, and some things you won't use hardly at all. So this particular one, your design function, your global design, is one that you're probably not going to use because this is set up very much. This is set up when we're first designing your site, and we define, let me go into that for you. We define, your global text, the font, the sizes, the font colors, the link text. This is if you have links within your site and you're going either into an internal or external link. You have more options. We have a font weight that applies with some fonts. Not every font will have a font weight. Then we have our line heights, and that's the space between the lines. And then we have what's called your H1 through H6, and those are also set up usually one time unless you want to change a design. Then we would go in here and you would make the changes, and then that would flow through the entire site itself. Having said that, of course, it's helpful to check and make sure that all those changes have taken place because they're already defined once. The system is trying to define them again. So I just make a general check to make sure that all those are in place. So that goes from your H1 to your H6. H1 through H6 really relates to your HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it relates to design in general of websites. And it's a way that we tell the search engines this is important information, so pay particular attention to the keywords in these particular H1 through H6s. Okay, so you probably won't use that too terribly much, but if you want to change the font throughout the site, that's the best way to do it. So you're not changing each particular page. Next we have your pages, and this again is something of a duplicate. It's of your home, but it gives you more functionality. This particular home on the top, the way that we were navigating, just gives you the option to go to a particular page. But this function on the left hand side gives you the option to do much more. I'm going to go through really quickly to show you sort of what you're seeing. For instance, this is the page name, and if you click this gear, you will see that you have all these options. You have the ability to rename it. Of course, you're not going to rename your home page ever, but usually, but you have the option again in any of these pages to rename. You have the opportunity to hide in navigation. You can hide on all, or you can hide on a particular device. It tells you what that device is. This is helpful if you're ever adding a page but you don't want anybody to see it yet, and you don't want it to be crawled and indexed by the search engine. So I will show you another option that you have within this to keep it off the crawl and index schedule from the search engines, because you don't want anybody to see that prior to your being ready for them, of course. So we can hide on all, and that would take it off this menu as well. We can duplicate a page. That's very helpful if you'd like to keep the formatting on a particular page to your next page. Then all you have to do is change your content and your images. You also have the ability to update your SEO, and I'm going to show you how that looks. If, as I was just talking about, if you'd like to block the search engines from crawling a particular page, all you do is toggle on and off, like so. And then that will block it. You just have to remember to unblock it when the page is done. And then you will want to pay particular attention to your SEO. What we have here is this is an indication of 66 out of 70 characters that we have, and so we want to be able to put as much information in as we can, as many of our keywords that are salient. So as you see over here, also we have 320 characters over out of 390. Doesn't matter if you go over, really. The search engine will truncate it where it's necessary. Page keywords are not really used any longer by the search engines. So if this is helpful for you to remember sort of what your keywords are that you want to use, that's great, but this functionality is not used by this specific area within the website. Is not used. In other words, the search engines don't go out and look at this area for your keywords. They work on something called LSI, or latent semantic indexing, which is the theme of a particular page. So you can put it in there if you like, or you don't have to. The other thing that you will see on this page is we have a little icon that has an anchor. What that is an anchor either to a specific part of your page, of a specific row, or it's an anchor into a specific row in another page, or it could be an anchor outside of your website in general. And the reason that you would want to have that, if you want it there, is, especially in the last case, if you wanted an outside one, you want it on your menu, but you don't have that information on your website itself. So you're kind of using that option as an ability for them to go find more information that you don't have on yours. Okay, so you can also, it gives you the option to hide that on all. Let's say you wanted to put it in a menu, but you don't really want anybody to see it, that's fine. Or you change your mind in the future, that's fine. Again, it gives you the ability to hide it in there. And all you have to do then to show it is to just click Show on All. Okay, so these are all collapsible. You can bring that up. The other thing is that you will find, so when you come down in your page, this is my second page here, my therapy practice websites. This is an anchor, but this is, I want it on the menu, but it's a portfolio of our clients. And then this is a support hours and plans, as you see. And these are tutorials. So it just gives you some additional information for your page in general. So that is the page URL than the other one. You have 128 out of 130 characters, and that's your actual file name. So that's a good place to put your keywords as well. And then the SEO, the page title, etc. We're going to look at one more thing here. Set as home page, you don't want to do that usually because you have a home page. So, but if you wanted to change it, you could do so there. Excuse me. Then you can set a password for a particular page. You always have the ability to go in and change that because, of course, you want to have that ability within your dashboard. So when you're in here doing it, you will be able to go to it, but your visitors will not be able to. Okay, so that's an overview of the page's function and the different things that you can do there. If you want to add a new page, there are several ways to do it. You can either click here for a new page, but again, your formatting is not going to be brought forward. So the better alternative usually is to just duplicate a page that looks like the one that you're going to be duplicating, so you have less work to do, of course, which is always helpful. Why reinvent the wheel? And then you just go in and change your content and that kind of thing. You have also an ability to have pop-ups. Same functionality, really. If you look over here, it tells you some of the few things that you can do. With a pop-up, you only really have a rename or duplicate. And again, you can do a new pop-up, or you can duplicate one that already has that functionality in it for you. The other option or feature that you're probably going to use most are your widgets. The ones that are most popular that you've used most recently are going to appear here on the top. And it's just a drag and drop. I'll show you a little bit about that down here. So if we wanted to bring that over like so, and we start typing, and then you're right exactly where you want to be. Okay, so to get rid of something, you just click on that and it's off. So back to the widgets. So we have frequently used, that's what they've determined that I've been using. We have our popular, again it's just bringing it over from the side. Then we have basics, which are used, the system offers you, as options. So you can just bring anything over that you would like to work on. If you want a 3-column, you just bring it over, it inserts in a new row, and you begin working. Everything is really based on row and column in this website. So you have the ability, let's say you're working on something and you want to not let everyone see it, but you don't want to hide that entire page like I was talking about before. So what you can do is just hide that on the device. And what you'd like to do is go from the bottom up. See, it says hide on mobile. Then we're going to hide on tablet and desktop, and so you won't see it any longer. To then work on it later, let's say you're going to republish it, but you want to have it to work on later, you will just do a unhide like so. And then that shows you what you have hidden. It's always a good idea not to get rid of something that you see that might be hidden. The reason is it might be appearing just on the mobile. So always check that just in case. Back to the widgets. So you can see we have a lot of different options. We have icons, image sliders, buttons. HTML is if you have some custom programming. You have a photo gallery. Here you have a large title. As you'll remember, that was our H1 through H6. And then just a lot of different options for you to take a look at and just check over and see if you'd like to use. You have the map, click to call. Click to call is used on your mobile. And then you have your social media. And it's just a matter of bringing something over and working with it once it's in place. So it'll always start with that new row for you. So let's say you just wanted to make a change to this text. All you'll do is click into it, and that gives us the ability to have, very much like Word, actually, if you're used to working with Word. So you can bold, you can underline. This tells you what the text size is, the font weight. Again, as I mentioned, there are some fonts that you can make very, very narrow, like, oh, Comforta is one. You know, Josephina Sans is another. But this lets you know what your font weight is. And then this is your alignment, your line height. If you would like to place a link over something, very easy to do. You just highlight what you'd like to place. Then you'll see once it's highlighted, the system gives you the option to link it. And then when adding a link, you have a number of different options here as well. You can add a link to an existing page on your website. So you can scroll down to see what page you'd like to link to. That will put you at the top of that page. Okay. If you have an outside website that you'd like to link to, let's say you're providing information and you'd like to link to that website, it's just a matter of grabbing that URL that you'd like to go to. Always open it in a new window so that your visitor can just click that window off, and then they will see your website again. Okay, so that's important to just always have that clicked. We don't want them to forget where they came from to get to that information. You have the ability to go into a pop-up. If you've developed a pop-up or you have one on your site, then we can just opt for that. And then when they, click that particular one, they will go to that pop-up. That pop-up will pop up. So very simple. Then you have anchors. An anchor, again, as I mentioned before, it appears on the menu in that page or another page. You can go, as you can see, you have your option to go to any of your pages that have an anchor on it, and then you can just select the anchor from within that. Okay, so they can go directly to what it is that you're talking about. You're not asking them to then go to this page and scroll through the whole page to find that information. You're just making it easier for them, which is the whole point of our website. Is we want to engage with them. We want to have that conversation. And the first step to doing that is making the website as easy for them to navigate as possible. So that's what we're trying to do. We also have an email address. Just a word about this is I usually don't put an email address into the website because two reasons. It can be used nefariously. We want it to be hidden on a contact page. What can happen is if you have so-and-so at Teresa Lauer, let's say I had Teresa at teresalauer.com, and somebody was able to nefariously go just crawl my site, get that information. The first thing is, of course, they can send me junk mail, which I don't want. But secondly, and more importantly, is they can use my email to send out email from them, but under my name, which I don't want, right? That's a horrible situation to get into. So we don't want that. We don't want anyone knowing your direct email address that can be used, nefariously for people pretending to be you, basically. We can go to a click to call, or we can go to a file for download. So your file for downloads are always going to be usually PDF, something that you're providing to them either in a newsletter or a flyer or a form that you'd like them to print out and bring in. So we're going to remove that link that we have there. And anything that you put in there, if you decide to change your mind, you can just click remove that link at the very bottom. Just remove link. Or if you don't want it in your site any longer, it's always helpful to every now and then check your site to make sure the links, especially if it's someone else's a link that you're sending them to make sure it's valid and it's not a broken link, because people will get upset with that. So any of these options any of these blocks, excuse me, are options for changing. So you just click in like so, and you can make any of your changes that you'd like. Comes up. As you'll see here, this is a one column row. As you see, this is a 1 column, and then this is a 2 column. So if you have, this is another example of a different how a row is set up. This in particular, if you'd like an image, as you see, you can bring in your own images. You can bring in images from outside. And so all you would do to change an image is just say replace. If you have it on your system, you'll see uploaded, you'll see site, free, and all images. But if you have one sitting on your computer that you would like to use, you just say upload. You would go get it from wherever it is that you would like, and then you would put it in. So very simple to change. You also have the option once a photo is in to change the positioning, the background overlay. Let's say you wanted some color over it, and the border. So that is a little bit about the text, the content, and the pictures that you'll see. Then we have all kinds of things, like this was a quote that I brought over from an icon, some pictures of clients. Let's go, I'll give you some information. This is your content library. This tells you, the thing that you'll probably see most is your site content, your images. So you'll see all your images that you're using. See, I have 580 of them uploaded. Chances are I'm not using 580 of them. So that's a good overview of how to change, how to add, how to work in general with your website. If you'd like some additional information, let me show you one more thing here that you might be changing in the future. This is a form, and as you'll see, I have it set up to capture the first name, a last name, and an email. And then I have given my visitors the option of telling me what they would like me to contact them about, so I have some idea before I talk to them. I'm also gathering some information on, would you like to provide us with additional information about the results you're trying to achieve? How did you hear about us? And then they submit that information. So if you have a form that you would like to work with and edit, all you would do, same basic process as your content block, but you would click in, and there you'll see the form items, the first name, the last name, the email address. So that's our first 3. Then I'm interested in, would you like to provide us? How did you hear about us? So you might say, well, yeah, but these, how did I get the radio? These are radio buttons, so how is that happening? So all you would have to do is click into that, and it will give you the type of, the field label is always, what is it that I'm asking about? I'm interested in. So that would appear there. That's my question for them. Then you have an option of your field types. So I have selected radio buttons, but it gives you all this information. It gives you the email, gives you the option of capturing a phone number, as you see up here. Those are already formatted for that. So in other words, if you selected email, it'll already be an email format in the form itself. So then if you select radio buttons or some other kind of option like check marks, then you have your answers that you would like them to select. So private practice results coaching, building my brand, creating a new website, etc. Then that's a little different than this question that we're asking, right, which is what would you like to provide us with what's my question? Would you like to provide us with more additional information? So that's a free field. So that's why we select text as our field type. Okay, so the other options below that then are our field size, which is 100%. Otherwise, it would, let me show you what happens. You could see if you're doing that, it just makes that field size a little less. But we want it to look friendly. We want it to be easy to read. So that's why we keep everything consistent like so. So that's working with a form. Let's say let's also go over here and look at some of the other options that we have on the site. As you'll see, we have our social media. And again, the way we brought that over is just over here. Initially, we brought it over. We have it down here, right? And so we just put our social icons in like so. What that'll look like when it's done is you have the option of adding more social media as you grow. If you have a YouTube, what you would do is just click on that, and then what you'll do is you'll see it live here, and then down here it'll say, okay, what is your YouTube channel address? So you would run to your YouTube channel, grab that URL, and just cut and paste it. Just cut it, copy it from there and paste it here. Okay? And then so if you did that by mistake, you don't want to have, or let's say you leave that social media platform completely, you could just turn that off. And so it's very easy to use. This is Yelp. This is, well, you probably know all the icons right there. So I won't bore you with that. So that is a little bit about what you'll find on your footer. As you see, sometimes they're in your footer, sometimes they're in a different row. But anything that you do put into your footer, you just change it once and it goes through all your pages. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that on other pages. Next, I'd like to talk about after you have your changes all done. You're pretty happy with them. You've checked it over. You've done your preview. As you'll see, if you just click preview, you'll be able to see how it looks once it's published. Okay, so let's say you're happy with that, you've checked everything out, and you just want to republish here. And that will then replace your existing site. Okay, so that'll replace that. You can always check it. You'll get the option to take a look at it. It'll say, congratulations, your site is now published. Or you can then go outside of it and go to your website. So let's say we're going to our website outside of it, and we can just refresh it if you don't see you refresh your screen if you don't see the changes immediately. Okay, so that's your republish. Then you go back to your editor, and again, I would just suggest backing up the site after you do that. Okay, so that is a good overview of the different editing that you'll be doing within the site. If you have something specific on your site that you would like me to address, definitely give me a call. I'm sorry, send me an email and I'll do a little training video on it if we have something specific that we've designed into your site together. So with that, I will leave you here. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a lot of fun. It's a very intuitive platform. I really love using it. My clients that use it are super happy with how easy it is to navigate. If you have something specifically, some custom programming or something that you specifically would like me to take a look at and have us do, I'm happy to do that. We have support hours and plans, and we've made that very straightforward for you. You can either do our premium website support, which just basically puts hours on to the books for you. So if you have anything, you just have us do it, and no problem at all. We just reduce the amount of time that we work on that particular task and let you know. Or you can just do hour by hour. If you have something that is specific that you'd like us to take a look at and give you an estimate, we have that as well. But as you see, the support plans do save you a little bit of money. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. And again, if you have any questions at all, please give me a call. Don't hesitate. Phil and I are always here and available for you. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.